If plays are the small siblings of movies, then a one-act play is the infant of the family. One-act plays are short plays but complete stories. They are plays that take place in one scene and are generally less than an hour long. When people think of plays, many things come to mind. One of those things can occasionally be, man, that was long. While great plays sometimes make time fly, many full-length ones do in fact last for at least 2 hours. Some, like well-known plays by Shakespeare and Eugene O'Neill, are a lot longer. Much longer. Some, however, come in under the hour mark and don't have any sort of intermission or midpoint curtain. These plays of half an hour to an hour in length are generally referred to as one-act plays. Today, we'll further talk about how we could write one-act plays better. Here are some ways to get started writing a one-act play. But keep in mind that writing a play, like most things, requires more than just following a process. Practice, experimentation, study, writing strategies, and help from experts, and did I mention practice? Will be necessary too. These tips will help you get you started. First, read and/or see some one-act plays. My first suggestion to anyone taking up a new writing skill is usually to get some examples to follow. There are many one-act play compilations available when you read work by both the famous playwrights and up-and-coming writers. Study the scripts for their construction. What happens when, how many settings and characters are used, what is the time frame of the play's action, a day or a year? Plays vary greatly in content and form. Of course, but that's just another reason to read and if possible see a lot of one-act plays if you're going to write one. You will know a variety of ways you can proceed with your story. One-act plays often differ from a full-length ones in their scope. They will have fewer characters perhaps or a more simple setting. Mainly though, they will be very focused on one main character and a single incident or goal. There will be little time to go to subplots or scenes not involving the main character and his story. This is something you will notice as you read one-act plays and something that you will want to keep in mind as you go through the writing process. Number 2, pick your main character. I really think there are a few main questions a writer should ask when she sits down to tell her story, unless the story is incredibly unconventional, in which case you're on your own. The first question is, who is your main character? A story, even one with a sizable ensemble, needs that one lead focal point. In a short play, chances are your cast will be small and maybe 4 or 5 people. Finding your lead should not be difficult. Ask, whose story is this? Whose point of view do we see through? That's your main character. Number 3, give the character a goal. Once you decide on your main character, figure out his goal. A character in any work should have one goal that he pursues throughout the story. Hamlet wants to do right by his father. Dorothy wants to get home to Kansas. To write your play, you must choose a goal for your main character. And to get what he wants, he may have other subsidiary things he needs to do, but the main overarching want should remain the same. In a sense, what your characters wants is what your play is about. Number 4, brainstorm for obstacles your character will face. They always say the heart of dramatic writing is conflict. Once you know who your main character is and what she wants more than life itself, you need to do the hard part, which is to figure out the obstacles she will face and how she will overcome them, if she does. Keep in mind, each obstacle should be harder than the next. You don't want to see someone kill his arch enemy and then have to look up directions to your house. You want the guide to find the directions, an easy obstacle to overcome, and then kill the enemy, which perhaps is the climatic moment of the story depending on your character's goal. While you plot the obstacles, basically your story, also keep in mind some other things. You want to start late in the story. You also want to make sure to give us some time to meet the character before we rush off down the climax. While you plot the obstacles, basically your story, also keep in mind some other things. You want to start late in the story. You also want to make sure to give us some time to meet the character before we rush off down the climax. But remember, you want conflict in every bit of the story, and with one act, you don't have nearly as much time to introduce things as you would in a full-length play. This means you will want to get to a turning point moment pretty quickly, a moment where the character makes a decision that puts her on whatever road might be for her specific pursuit. Next, work on the characters. As you work on the story obstacles, you always want to develop your characters, both the main character and whomever may support the main character. Think about what the supporting characters might want. They should also have goals. Think about how they function as obstacles for each other. Think also about how they can be multidimensional, or in other words, have strengths and weaknesses, shades of gray, etc. See how characters in your favorite plays are revealed by how they deal with conflict, how they interact with others, and how others describe them. Use those same techniques as you build your characters. Number 6, work on the setting. As you work on the story and characters of the script, also consider setting. Often, one-act plays will have simple settings which require an audience to use some imagination. Other times, one-acts may have elaborate sets. Keep in mind, if you're a beginning player looking to get your work produced, elaborate sets can sometimes be a strike against you. But of course, do what best serves your play. Sometimes setting is important. The Wizard of Oz needs Oz. Other times, you may be in a generic cafe or a living room that doesn't have any particular effect on your characters. Consider the setting of some favorite plays, how it works in the story, how important it is, and how the playwright describes it. Number 7, be clear with your theme. This is one of the main considerations that you may have in planning for scenes in a play. You may ask yourself some questions like, what will my play be all about? Is it about friendship, about love, about struggles, or success in life? You have to have a clear picture about the theme because the other elements like plot, characters, and settings will point to or support the theme. Number 8, develop the plot simply. In a one-act play, identify only one significant event. You may develop the action first, then compose the dialogue before deciding on other elements. Keep the plot simple for a one-act play, and it should move consistently throughout the play. Number 9, craft meaningful dialogues. The dialogues that you will create need not to be terse but concise and meaningful. Each line must be crafted carefully. You have to make sure that the lines point out on the theme, the plot, and the characters of the protagonist. Number 10, add in the stage directions after you write the action. You may write notes about how the characters should respond, what sounds to make, and what props are needed. For example, if the character should be standing near the window, talking to someone over the phone, and looking scared, you have to note it in the script. This way, the audience can see or imagine the picture of the scene in action. Number 11, include other literary devices. Include some literary devices such as foreshadowing, imagery, personification, satire, and symbolism. These will help enhance emotional, oral, and visual experience of the audience. This will also underline script's meaning. Outline your scenes. A scene is a basic unit of drama. It can be roughly described as a chunk of the play that happens in one time and place. If you read some plays, you can analyze how the playwright breaks the act into scenes. Some may have one scene, others may have many scenes, even a short one act. The key is for each scene to move the story or the character revelation forward. In other words, each scene should involve a conflict, not just simply people chatting it up. And each conflict should, in some way, involve the main character pursuing his or her goal. Your job becomes transforming your list of obstacles that stand in your main character's way into scenes. For instance, Wicked Witch becomes Dorothy fights of the Wicked Witch and gets her broom. Some people prefer to go ahead and write the scenes instead of outlining it first. Sometimes I do that, but this is much more difficult to rewrite a full scene than it is to rearrange a few lines of an outline. Lastly, write and rewrite. Once you know where your main character is going, it's time to actually write the play. So when you write, bear in mind it won't be perfect for the first time though. That's fine, just go for it. Also, take into consideration that creative writing of any form is a craft that has to be worked on over time and polished. Writers also often go back to the basics to see if they hit their marks. Is there a clear main character pursuing a goal? Are the obstacles and characters interesting? Is the dialogue authentic sounding? You also might look at more intricate pieces of the play. Is the theme coming across? Are the metaphors working? In any case, it is almost impossible to objectively judge all of what you need to improve. So you should go with your gut on most things, but don't work in a vacuum. Okay? You could ask a friend, a fellow writer, or other trusted person and have her to tell you what she thinks could stand to be changed. Writing a play of any length can be a challenge. Writing a one-act play which covers all the bases in a limited time, but which also has a nuance, depth, and offers the audience a memorable experience is no exception. These writing strategies can help. However, following good examples and writing tips, taking time with the pre-writing portion of the process, and developing yourself to writing as needed will help you put your best foot forward and your best foot on stage. So, a good one-act play focuses on one main action or problem. Okay, there's no time to get into complicated layers of plot. It's a good idea to keep your play to one set and as few scenes as possible. A one-act play is 9 to 12 pages with 4 characters or less. Many great resources are available online by searching on keywords writing one-act plays. Okay, so remember the following. Theme. Ask yourself, what is the play about? Is it about revenge, self-discovery, romance? Your mind needs to be clear about the theme. Characters, plots need to point to and support that theme. Plot. The plot is different in one-act play from a full-length play. In a one-act play, there's only time for one significant event. Determine the place for hero where all can be won or lost. Events leading to this can be included without being shown to the audience. The events that follow must be further understood by the audience though. Character. There is not much area to develop all the characters, so we have to limit it at least into 4. The hero and the protagonist characters needs to be more developed and focused on. The antagonist can be developed to show conflict. Some other characters can also be a little bit developed to move the story forward. And dialogue. Economy is the key aspect here. Each line must be crafted carefully to focus on the theme, the incident, and the character of the protagonist. The dialogues need not to be terse but concise and full of meaning. Dialogues irrelevant to the plot must be altered or omitted immediately. So, what do you need to accomplish for this week? First is you're going to accomplish the activity under What's More. So, given the details that you have here, you have to make a story. You have to create a short scene connecting the following details by applying the guidelines in writing a play. You may rearrange the details in creating the story, and please be guided with a given rubric. And you have to write it down on your answer sheets. Now, this activity of making a short scene is different from the final output that you are expected to do. Okay? So what you will be doing is really you are going to write your own one-act play. Okay, all the lessons that we had for the past few weeks are all culminating to this one, and that is for you to create your own one-act play. You have 2 weeks to do this activity, so please be guided by the rubric that's also in your module. Try to look back at the different modules and the different lessons that we had so that you will be able to determine as to how you will start writing your play. I will also upload a format that you could follow. Not really strictly, but at least you can follow those formats in writing your one-act plays. So should you have any questions, concerns, if you need any help, please don't hesitate to send me a message, alright? Happy writing, everyone!